Hallo Leute! Today we're going to do our first complete, so to say, irregular verb of the week, which means that today we're going to do all three irregular forms of one verb in one episode. If you missed my guide on how to find the forms you're looking for of a certain verb, watch my guide on irregular verbs. Duh. So we're gonna do that for the first time today. I'm kind of nervous, so let's see how long this is gonna be. Today we're taking on the verb fahren, which means to drive. This verb can be combined with a number of things. First of all, we can drive into a direction. Now direction, normally we say that place is associated with the dative and direction is associated with the accusative in German. It does, however, depend a bit more on what preposition you use. For example, I could say I'm driving to school, ich fahre zur Schule, or I'm driving to the park, ich fahre zum Park. So that would be dative because of the zu. If, however, I were to say I am driving, this is a bit stupid in English, but literally I would be saying I am driving into the school. So basically still I'm driving to school, but you could say that within in German. So then I would have accusative. So ich fahre in die Schule. In wen? So if you have a direction combined with fahren, it depends really on which preposition you use. So that's the first thing you can use, the direction. Then secondly, you can drive somebody. So for example, you can of course drive a car, so it can express the vehicle that you are driving. And then secondly, you can drive somebody somewhere. So you can drive a friend to the airport, for example. So the first one would be ich fahre das Auto, or that one was accusative, ich fahre das Auto. However, that is not really that common in German. We normally use a mit and therefore have to use a dative. So it would be ich fahre mit dem Auto, or ich fahre mit dem Fahrrad. I'm driving the bicycle, I'm going by bike. So that's that. And then when you drive a person, you would say ich fahre meinen Freund zum Flughafen. So again, we have an accusative. Meinen Freund. And then of course you can just use it without any object. Just I'm driving. Ich fahre. Ich fahre gerne. I like to drive. You know, stuff like that. Meaning-wise, in its regular usage, it is the same thing as to drive in English. There's nothing, too enigmatic about this. It's certainly not the same in every, idiomatic usage, in every saying or whatever. But normally, you will be fine knowing that fahren means to drive. So, after all of that, because this is one of the more versatile verbs, we can finally get to the forms. So firstly, we have the presens, for which we have an a to ä change, which we're used to by now, I think. So second, third person singular have an ä instead of an a. So our forms here are ich fahre, du fährst, sie es fährt, wir fahren, ihr fahrt, sie fahren. And then now the new things, because we are now adding the Präteritum in the Partizip Perfekt, so the G form. First of all, the Präteritum, we have a vowel change also to an U. So here we have fuhr, and again you have to watch out that here the verb is still conjugated, so we have ich fuhr, du fuhrst, sie es fuhr, wir fuhren, ihr fuhrt, sie fuhren. And then lastly, we have the Partizip Perfekt, in which the vowel change is reverted for this verb, but we also have, like usually, we have the en ending instead of the t ending. Also, this is one of the verbs that can be combined with both sein and haben, depending on what you are saying. If you are solely referring to the act of driving yourself, so if you're saying, I drove to school, then you would say, ich bin gefahren. But if you were to say instead that you drove your friend to the airport, you would say, ich habe meinen Freund zum Flughafen gefahren. So if you have an object, it is combined with haben. And if you don't have an object, so if it is purely describing the act of driving, so a motion, a movement, then it is used with sein. Okay, so it could be either sein or haben and gefahren. So we have ge, then the normal stem, fahr, and then en as the ending, gefahren. One thing that I feel you have to watch out for as a native English speaker, because you can use both sein and haben with this verb, is a sentence like, I drove here myself, as in nobody else did, I was the one who drove the car. Because that is still an instance where you would use sein because you had that movement. You were the one who drove. You did not have an object because you didn't put yourself in the car and drove yourself there. I mean, technically you did, but what you're trying to say is, I was the one who drove, not the one that I came with, or whatever. So in this case, you would not say, ich habe mich selbst gefahren, because that literally sounds like you put yourself in a package and put yourself on the passenger seat next to you, and then somehow got in the car yourself and drove yourself to some other place. You know, that really doesn't, that's some science fiction shit, okay? That's not what we're trying to say. We're trying to say, I was the one who drove. So you would have to use sein in this instance, because, you know, you're still saying, I drove. Literally, the only thing you're saying is, I completed the action of moving myself from here, or from there to here, or whatever, using a car. So, when translating the sentence, I drove myself, you would say, ich bin selbst gefahren. So, selbst is the self, myself. Ich bin selbst gefahren. In contrast to, my boyfriend drove, or whatever. Okay, so keep that in mind. Other than that, I think we're done for today. So our stem forms here, or 4 forms that we need to remember, are fahren, du fährst, fuhr, and gefahren. And that's it for today. I will see you on Tuesday, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Tschüss!